In the heart of East Africa lies a nation whose story is inseparably tied to one man's vision, struggles, and dreams. That man is Jomo Kenyatta, the first president of the Republic of Kenya, and one of Africa's most iconic figures in the fight for independence. His life, full of triumphs and controversies, became the cornerstone of Kenya's history. Today, we journey through the life of Jomo Kenyatta. Jomo Kenyatta was born in 1897, in the rural highlands of central Kenya, into the Kikuyu community. He was given the name Kamau wa Ngengi, but his destiny would go beyond the village boundaries, shaping the future of an entire nation. His early years were marked by a rich Kikuyu culture, traditional rituals, and a deep connection to the land. However, like many Africans of his time, Kenyatta's life was disrupted by British colonial rule. Kenya, then known as British East Africa, was under British control, and the people of Kenya were subjected to harsh policies and forced labor. For Kenyatta, this colonial dominance would sow the seeds for his future rebellion. In the early 1920s, Kenyatta left Kenya for further studies in Europe. His travels would take him to London, where he studied at the prestigious University of London, learning about Western politics, economics, and the philosophy of freedom. But it was in London where he would encounter and join Pan-African movements, meeting influential figures like Kwame Nkrumah, who were pushing for the liberation of African nations from colonial powers. During his time in Europe, Kenyatta became a strong advocate for the rights of Africans. He was a spokesperson for the struggles of the Kikuyu people, and he became internationally known for his opposition to colonial rule. But as much as he grew intellectually, his heart remained with his people in Kenya, who were suffering under British exploitation. In 1946, after nearly 2 decades abroad, Kenyatta returned to Kenya. His return was symbolic, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life. The political climate in Kenya had changed. A movement for independence was gaining ground, led by the Kikuyu people and their desire for the return of their land. Jomo Kenyatta became a key figure in the Kenya African Union, KAU, which was advocating for political and social reforms. He was seen as a leader with the vision and charisma to guide Kenya toward independence. But it wasn't going to be easy. The British authorities saw him as a threat to their control and soon labeled him a radical nationalist. In the early 1950s, the struggle for independence took a more violent turn with the rise of the Mau Mau movement. The Mau Mau was a militant group composed mostly of Kikuyu people who were fighting to reclaim their land from British settlers. The British responded with brutal force, but the movement remained a powerful force for resistance. In 1952, Jomo Kenyatta was arrested by the British authorities, charged with leading the Mau Mau rebellion. He was imprisoned without trial, and for years, his fate remained uncertain. His imprisonment became a symbol of the struggle for Kenyan independence. While Kenyatta was behind bars, his legacy continued to grow. His name became synonymous with the fight for freedom. In 1961, after nearly a decade in prison, Kenyatta was released due to mounting pressure from both the international community and the growing desire of Kenyans for self-rule. The British realized that Kenya's independence was inevitable, and they began to negotiate with the African leaders. On December 12, 1963, Kenya finally achieved independence, and Jomo Kenyatta was sworn in as the country's first prime minister. Just a year later, Kenya became a republic, and Kenyatta became its first president. He had led the charge for freedom, and now he would guide Kenya into its new era. Jomo Kenyatta's presidency was a time of both hope and struggle. While Kenyatta worked hard to unite the country, the political landscape was often divided, and ethnic tensions simmered beneath the surface. His government worked to improve the economy, build infrastructure, and establish education for all, but not without its challenges. Kenyatta's leadership style was authoritative, and he took firm control of the government. His party, the Kenya African National Union, KANU, dominated the political scene, and opposition was suppressed. Some critics viewed him as a dictator, and the gap between the rich and poor began to widen, especially as wealth concentrated in the hands of a few elites. Jomo Kenyatta served as Kenya's president until his death in 1978. He passed away on August 22, 1978, leaving behind a legacy that is still debated to this day. Some view him as the father of the nation, the man who led Kenya to independence and laid the foundation for the modern state. Others criticize his centralized leadership, which, they argue, stifled political opposition and contributed to social inequality. Regardless of the controversies, Jomo Kenyatta's impact on Kenya and Africa as a whole is undeniable. He played a pivotal role in the decolonization of Africa and became a symbol of African pride and self-determination. His vision helped shape Kenya into a sovereign state, and his influence can still be felt in the political and cultural fabric of the country. Jomo Kenyatta's story is one of resilience, leadership, and ambition. From a young Kikuyu boy to a freedom fighter, to the first president of an independent Kenya, his journey reflects the struggles of an entire continent striving for independence. He may have been a controversial figure, but his legacy as the founding father of modern Kenya endures, inspiring generations of Kenyans and Africans around the world. Thank you for joining us in exploring the life of Jomo Kenyatta. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories.